Now that thing is going live.
Yay! Yeah, we really gotta fix how the different.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, so we're live.
Yay! I'm so excited.
So here is. I mean, this is the reason why we are doing this, and
The
this
coffee?
is no, not the coffee.
Oh.
But this is the reason why we're doing this.
Hi, Jen.
And this is the reason why we're changing the format of the show, because on the way here to record this, she wanted coffee and I wanted coffee, but we just wanted different things. You know, she wanted to go to Starbucks and get, what do you get?
Nitro cold brew.
She wanted to go get a nitro cold brew, and you know, I wanted to get a cafecito. So what did we do? Did we compromise and just go to one place? No, she got what she wanted and I got what I wanted. And that's kind of why we wanted to do this show this way.
Yeah.
So that we could talk a little bit more about how we do things or why we do things. And in the last episode of our podcast and our show, we said that in this episode we would talk more about us, right? So that I guess all the things that people wonder or talk about or you know, whatever, we could just talk a little bit more about us instead of just always talking about working out and doing things like that. But this is like a great example of how we function and how we do things. You know, we just do exactly what we want, the way that we want to do it. For some things that are as simple as coffee,
Yes.
And things that are a little bit more elaborate. So,
Hi, Jen.
Welcome to episode 1
Yes.
of our new show.
Yes.
Our other show was It's Not Just Boot Camp for 4 seasons. 4. We would do the podcast, and at the beginning we set out to just kind of be in touch with everybody that is a part of our community in one way or another, whether we were just sharing information or interviewing people, and you know, just an extension of what we do at the gym.
Yes.
But I was the only one doing it. And then for season 4, you know, we decided that we were going to do it together because we have, you know, different things to share and we have a different dynamic. But then as we talked about it more, we figured out that what we wanted to do was kind of create something new. So while it's not just boot camp is kind of what we're about, you know, because it's more than just the boot camp and the gym and stuff, we still wanted to create something different and something new, you know, kind of about us. So she's Lais and I am the coach.
You gotta make sure you get both cameras.
Both cameras. We have 2 cameras going. We're recording this. If you're listening to us, we're recording. Yes. We're recording on YouTube. This is live on Facebook. But again, she is Lais and I am the coach.
Yes.
And that is the name of our show. Boom.
Yes. I'm so excited.
So excited.
I love that we get to do this live because not that we edited anything before.
But she curses a lot.
You're low-key scared of being live with me. But no, we didn't edit anything before, but at the same time, I feel like just live is as real as it gets.
Live is as real as it gets.
There is no filtering, editing, just whatever comes out.
I like it live.
So I'm excited.
All right, so first thing is, we're going to talk about a couple different things today. We will talk about fitness, we will talk about exercise and diet and stuff like that. Yes. But we will start on a very different subject. I think we're going to talk about our kids. And then we're going to talk about our relationship a little bit, and we're going to start. I don't think she knows this, but we are going to start talking about 75 hard.
Oh God!
That we're just going to start.
I did not know that.
But you'll see how I segue this. I have a.
That's why he's in control of this.
I have a map of how this is going to go. So last Monday we started 75 hard. If you don't know what it is Andy Frisella's 75-day challenge. There are 5 simple things that you got to do. Work out twice a day. One of them has to be outside, at least 45 minutes. You got to drink a gallon of water a day. You got to follow your diet.
Progress pictures.
You got to take a progress picture every day.
Hi, Yudi.
And you have to read 10 pages of a personal development book or nonfiction book every day.
Yes.
So I had done 75 hard before, and around day 30 or so, I forgot a progress pic, and then I started again, because that's the thing, like, if you're doing the 75 days, it is 75 days in a row.
Straight.
Of all the things without interruption, and if you miss one, you got to start again, right? The idea is to generate that habit of doing this for 75 days straight.
Yeah.
So I was 30 days in, forgot to pick, started again, and kind of just lost momentum along the way. And when I first heard it, I thought it was awesome. I shared it with her. She looked at me and went, kind of like that.
Go for it.
But last Monday, we were 75 days away from the WBFF contest in Miami. And at home, Bree is also getting ready for the competition.
Right.
She just started prepping for the Atlantic City show. And it just made sense for all of us to do it.
And honestly, like some of the things on there, like I'm not a big reader. I don't like reading books. It's not my thing. But I've always wanted to there are specific books I'm really interested in reading. So I'm like, if I do this, then I can sort of develop that habit. I also really struggle with drinking my gallon of water all the time. All through my preps, that's the one thing that I always fall short on is my water. So I'm like, you know what? Like my prep is first, but there are things in this challenge that are really going to help me with my prep. So I'm like, let's do it. That's why I was in for this one.
And then Bree was on board.
She doesn't have a choice.
She doesn't have a choice.
She does, but she feels bad if she's left out.
Junior's the only one not doing it. He refuses to follow his diet.
He is intense.
But we were doing it. We were great up until Saturday.
I wasn't great.
She was not.
Day 3, I forgot to take a progress picture, so I started over the next day. And that next day, I didn't drink my whole gallon of water.
Yeah.
So I was starting over the day after that. And the day after that was Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a family day. Where are you going? We had a family day Saturday, and we took the kids to the museum. It was like day 5, right?
Day 6.
Day 6 for you guys. It was supposed to be day 1
So it was
for
day
me.
6. It was day 6 on Saturday for us. And we went to the museum. Everybody was on. Well, Brianna and I were on point. Water, food, all of it.
Whatever.
And while we were out, like any other family, we're like, oh, what do we do next? Let's go to eat.
I heard a family in the elevator. She's like, oh, where do you guys want to go next? Do you want to go to Wynwood? I'm like, wouldn't it be nice to be a normal person and go from a museum
I had food
to
at home.
explore a new restaurant? Like, can we just go eat something?
I had food at home. Bree had
We always have food at home.
I had my food logged.
Anyway,
But-
needless to say,
But we usually don't venture out like that, the 4 of us. There's always something.
somebody's always working.
Somebody's working, somebody's doing something. So I said, you know what? You're right. Great idea. Let's find a place to eat. But like everybody else, we're like, so what do we eat? And then we're going to spend an hour doing that, which is a pain in the ass sometimes.
Yeah.
How many times are you like, so what do you want to eat? What do you want to eat?
Yeah.
What do you
Well,
want
no, I'm really feeling that.
Yeah, I hate that. Like,
so annoying.
but we're rarely ever in Miami, or at least in that area of Miami. And right, so we figured let's find something around here.
Yeah.
Got on Yelp right away. A couple places, nothing was really sticking out. Bree wanted a burger. She didn't really want a burger. She always liked Mexican food. Or Italian, but nothing was really popping. And sure enough, I pulled over and I said, let me take a look at this. And I found a Puerto Rican place.
Yeah, I always leave him in charge because he's like the Yelp master. He will find the best hole-in-the-wall places on Yelp so quick. I don't even look. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to scroll through Instagram while you do that because he's so good at it. And
anyway.
He won't tell us where we're going either.
So I found a place. And I found a brand new Puerto Rican food place, and it had just opened and had a handful of reviews. So I figured, why not give it a shot? And it ended up being the best, hands down, the best Puerto Rican food
by far
I've had outside of Puerto Rico, and honestly, including
inside of Puerto Rico too.
Yeah,
it's the best.
The owner, it's a small little place.
He just opened.
He just opened 6 months ago. Got a handful of tables, but the food was amazing.
To die for. You should pull up the picture and show them.
I'll share the picture somewhere, maybe in the comments. But anyway, my point is that at that point, we broke. We all
broke way before that.
We broke before that. But they brought us rice and beans.
He brought us like a platter. He's like, what do you guys want? We're like, everything. He brought us a platter of everything.
So we ate it, and we broke. And we were in Miami, so we said, would you like some coffee? And we ended up going to Versailles for coffee. And I took a moment, and here's where I'm segueing. I took a moment to tell Bree, that one of the things that we like about our relationship is that we're not going to settle for just whatever. You know, if we had to drive 5 more minutes just to get a little bit of coffee, or 10 more minutes, or 30 more minutes, we're going to go do exactly what we want to do and the way that we want to do it. We are not going to just be like, well, we're here, let's just do this, or
nothing is really a hassle for us.
Nothing
we just
is
don't
a hassle.
settle even on basic things like coffee,
Like
or something
coffee.
to eat, or somewhere to go. Like, we are going to do exactly what we want 100% of the time.
And those are the things, you know, so I took a moment to share that with Bree, and those are the things that, you know, that maybe we do a little bit different with our kids. It's like we take those moments and say, here's what we do, here's why we're doing it, and here's why we don't compromise with this.
Yeah.
Which is, if you've seen some of our posts, or at least my posts I've shared a couple times, we decided to homeschool the kids. I took Brianna to school 8 months ago.
Yeah.
Not for anything other than the fact that, you know, or at least the way I see it, she's a junior, or was a junior, and she has been in advanced math and science classes since she was in 4th or 5th grade or whatever. Not that it makes a difference.
She had like 3 credits left to graduate.
Right, she was right there to graduate. But what I saw is that here's this kid who is 16, about to turn 17, and can take the best test ever. You know, she can ace a test anytime she wants, but doesn't really know much. You know, doesn't
zero common sense.
Like common sense is not there. Basic like skills on how to function are not there. Yet she's spending 7, 8, 9, 10 hours sometimes, if she was staying after school, at school, and not really acquiring life skills. You know, and then the challenge is that a lot of the skills that we're supposed to teach as parents, like if you're spending 10 hours at school, you know, and you come home and you have a boatload of things to do because they give you homework, you know, that's supposed to be teaching you something, but it's not because you're just completing it, then when do you get to teach those life skills? So I figured, you know, that I didn't see the benefit to another science class and another math class without all the other stuff working, you know, because in a couple months when she turns 18 and she decides to do whatever it is that she decides to do, if she decides to do something, which at this point she really does, it's not clear. I wanted her to be armed with basic skills, like how do you open a bank account? How do you get a credit card? How do you get a job? You know, like what do you do with your money? Like just basic things that she would need to, you know, function. And I just didn't feel like school was doing it. And in terms of, you know, education, she's gotten plenty, and she can continue to, you know, she could finish that in school. And at that point, when she becomes an adult, if she decides to pursue something, if she's interested in something, and that something requires more education, we can discuss it at that point if she wants to discuss it with us. But if not
because it's the next step.
Not because it's the next step.
Or because it's the social norm.
Right, you know. So if we felt that way about Bree, then we certainly feel that way about Junior. You know,
for sure.
We've tried to put Junior in school a couple times, and it just doesn't work for any of us. Not her, not me, not him. I mean, it
sounds so dysfunctional, but it's the truth. It really is.
You know, I feel like he learns a lot. Well, and again, IMO, in my opinion, I feel like he learns a lot more just being with us on the day-to-day things that we do than if he had to go and show up in a room and be in that room to have breakfast with other kids and then, you know, play and then go take a nap for 2 hours.
I think too, like, our life is very different. So, you know, we have that choice.
We have the flexibility that he could be with us all the time.
We have that choice. I want to say we're lucky, but at the same time, like, this was always the goal, even before I got pregnant. Like, if we're gonna have a kid, then I want to be able to be with him as much as possible before he has to go to school. And same thing with you. I think when Bree was little, it was very different for you. So you like the idea of being able to be present for those like first few years that are so critical. And then that turned into a lot of personal development and personal growth along the way that made us decide to never send him to school at all.
Right. Bree's going to be 18 in March. I am not the same parent I was when she was 1 or 2. I've changed as a person. So a lot of my views and experiences have led me to just have a different set of ideas and thoughts about what I think she should be doing. And here's the thing, I always tell her the same thing all the time. Here's what I think, and then, you know, you're your own person, you're entitled to do whatever it is that you feel is going to be best for you. And definitely not the way I was brought up.
Me neither.
And it is not the norm and not conventional at all, but that's just not how we do things, And
yeah, everything we do is very non-conventional, and I feel like when we were talking about doing this episode and we were talking about getting more personal and letting people in on how we do things and who we are, because we both feel like that's very important, not only for the people that we see all the time, but we are constantly in communication with so many people, and I feel like it's always good to really feel like you're knowing the people that you're dealing with. So
right.
when we're talking about everything that we wanted to share, I feel like one of the things, and we can draw so many different points into that specific thing, is everything we do is very non-conventional and very our own way. And it's not for any reason other than like it's our life, right? And as long as whatever we're doing or not doing doesn't really affect anybody else in a negative way that has nothing to do with our family, our team, then it doesn't really matter. We're the ones that have to be okay with
right.
it.
I mean, we want to live on our terms. Whatever that might mean for us, we want to live on our terms. And I guess that could segue into our relationship. Like, we're together all the time. We obviously live together, if you didn't know. We're together all the time.
We work together.
We work together, so there are rarely things that we do separately. And at the beginning of our relationship, like anybody else, we would go out and eat out and we would drink alcohol, like adults.
Remember those things?
A lot of alcohol,
Too much.
And a lot of times you hear people say like, well, that phase, the honeymoon phase, and think, listen, that's crap. I'm gonna tell you right now, that is crap.
For sure.
What has changed is us, but not in like, oh, we're different people. No, that's crap too. What changes like the things that we want to do. Like we both are, we have different fitness goals. We eat on a schedule, we train on a schedule. So guess what? Going out to dinner and going out drinking and waking up hungover the next day isn't practical for our goals. That just doesn't match.
Toddler.
We have a toddler. We have a teenager.
Like, not gonna stop yapping all day. You might be hungover through that.
But regardless of that, like nothing changed other than how our team has evolved. And we look at our family, including the kids, as a team, and everybody on our team has
their role.
A role or a function. Just like if you looked at a basketball team, the center, the guard, the forward, like everybody has a role on our team, and we see our family like that, and Bree has a role, I have a role, she has a role, and we want our team to grow and expand, not necessarily with more kids.
Hell no.
But whatever that might mean. But what I'm saying is that as we've evolved, so has the things that we want to do, and they don't necessarily have to do with who we were when we first started dating,
Yeah, I think we're completely different people than we were 6.5
100%.
years ago. A lot has happened in 6.5 years.
We've had a lot happen.
A lot. But I do think that, what were you going to say?
No, I went like this. A lot.
Whole lot. But I do think that we've changed not only a lot in 6.5 years, but so many times.
Right.
And the key to everything being the same, even though everything is different, is that all those changes and all that growth happen together.
Yes.
So I feel like a lot of times when people are referring to, like, they outgrow each other, either for two reasons. One, because when you started your relationship, your base and your foundation wasn't like connected enough, right? You either got married because it was the next thing to do, or because someone was nice, or because you were just in love at the time and you didn't really like analyze the whole situation and the person and that as kind of like a partnership.
Right.
So what happens is with time, you could grow apart because then you start to realize how many things are different and you're each growing in a different direction.
Agreed.
Right? That happens. Everything that we've gone through, all the growth that we've gone through, we've both gone through in our own ways. So we were completely different people then than we are now, but we are still two completely individual people, even though we are always together and everything that we do is together and intertwined. It works because of that, I think.
And I think it's a result of all of that. We also question a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the kids or even back to us. Like what I said a few minutes ago. It's a lot of the things that we do, or I started doing. I started stopping and saying, "Am I doing this because this is the way that I was brought up, or this is the way I was taught, or this is the way it's supposed to be?" I'm very anti-rules. Like if you give me a set of rules or structure, like I immediately want to break it, even if it was the right thing
to do the opposite,
like, I just
no
want
matter
to do
what.
the opposite. You know, and I guess that's where my son gets it.
Yeah.
Like it's just ingrained. If you give me a step-by-step thing, I just don't want to, and I don't do anything that I don't want to do. You know, so regardless. But I start questioning. Am I doing this because this is what was ingrained when I was growing up? Is this what the social norm is? So I started doing that with the kids. Like, are they in school just because everybody does? I started doing that in our relationship. And then we started doing that with basic things, like, for example, Thanksgiving.
Your favorite.
My favorite. So a couple of years ago for Thanksgiving, I said to her, what if we didn't have turkey this year? You know, it was just going to be us. I think it was the first Thanksgiving that it was just going to be us, the kids, no extra family, no, you know, we weren't going somewhere. It was just going to be us. And I said,
the fact that you call them extra family instead of just family is so you.
So
anyway.
So I said, why are we going to have turkey? And she drew a big question mark. You know, she said, well, we're supposed to. And I said, but why? Like.
Yeah, I will say though, before you even continue, everything that we do different, we only do different because of him. I would have never questioned, like, I'm very, like, this is how I was raised, this is how I grew up, this is how it is, this is how, like, I am into, like, living life on my own terms and making sure that I'm happy, that's in me, but as far as, like, going against the norm, like, I struggled so hard with the homeschooling thing at first. Not that I was against it, it's just, like, it's your old you battling the new you know? So a lot of the things that have changed in our lives, like, I give you full credit for, because I don't know that I would have done that.
So here's what I asked.
He was like, why turkey? And I'm
right,
like,
so here's what I asked, and you know, for you guys watching anywhere, if you go out to dinner tonight or on the weekend.
This was what he told me. When he
how many of you would order turkey? Seriously. Like, would you go out to dinner today or Friday night and say, I can't wait to have the turkey?
That dry turkey.
Seriously, like, that never happens.
Like, you're so right.
You know, now, would you go out to dinner for a nice steak? You know.
So he said, why on one of the most important days of celebration are we going to have something we never would have chosen to have at any other time?
I agree with being grateful when we're grateful every day. And I agree on being super thankful and grateful on that day. But I can be very grateful with steak, you know, because I enjoy
Probably it. More grateful.
More grateful because I actually want that.
Yeah.
Than with turkey. And then that started well, why do we do this? And why do we do that? And why do we have to go over these people's house, you know, and sit there?
These extra family people.
Or anyone. Why do we have to sit there and be like, all right, here we go? And it's you know, everybody has those family dynamics.
But I used to tell him, like, but we have to. He said, but we don't. I don't have to do anything I don't want to do. And I used to be like, oh my God, so uncomfortable. Because, like, what do you tell people? But then with time, I was like, he's right.
But then it's that, like, what do you mean? What do you tell people? Don't tell them anything. Like, you know, just, I don't have to do it. You know, I just don't want to do the things. I don't want to go, you know, anywhere because I have to go. I want to go because I want to go. You know, I want to go spend time with my family. I'm not dissing my family.
No.
At all. I'm not dissing anybody.
We love family.
But I want to go do it because I want to go do it. Not because it's a holiday or somebody's birthday or, you know, it's Christmas and that's what you're supposed to do. I don't want to do it because of that.
Yes.
I want to do it because, you know, that's what comes out naturally and that's what we want to do. So I started, after Thanksgiving, I started questioning everything, you know. Like, well, why do we eat all these foods on Christmas? Why can't we have, you know, lasagna?
So Thanksgiving we usually do steak, and we'll try to keep some of the traditional sides. But I think mainly because we don't get to eat them. So, like, I love cornbread. We make homemade mac and cheese, like all of those things. But mainly
I make a solid mac and cheese.
Yeah, truffle oil and lobster.
Legit.
Yes. So kind of like that, you know, like we do our own thing. We might end the day with Chinese food. Like, it just depends, you know, how it goes. We don't do pies or any of that. And then for Christmas, most times we do Italian.
Really good.
We don't do gifts at midnight like how I grew up. We do gifts the next day, but we do some sort of family outing on Christmas Eve. Last year we did Santa's Enchanted Forest.
Which I had never been to.
I know. What kind of Miami person is this? What did we do the day before?
I don't remember.
But anyway, like, we'll do some sort of, a movie, like we'll do some sort of like family plan.
Whatever it is, we do it because that's what we want to do.
Right.
We don't put ourselves in a position where it's like, well, we got to go do this, and
right.
we got to go do that,
yeah.
and then we got to let's get
But
dressed
I think
up.
to take it off of us and put it on anybody that is watching now and that's going to watch, like, life is just too short to do shit you hate. Like, I say this all the time in my posts, and people are like, yeah, well, it's easy for you to say, like, you know, you get to, like, no. Everything that I do, I love doing. Everything that's in my life, I love having them in my life. Everything that I don't like doing, I've excluded, and everybody that I don't like dealing with, I've excluded. Is that always easy? No. And some of those things take time, but the bottom line is that we are in control, you know? So we all have bills to pay, and maybe the job you're at sucks, but then you should be working on something that you are passionate about to eventually replace that. Or your relationship sucks, but then, you know, you don't really know how to get out of it, then you should be just because you don't love certain things in your life doesn't mean that you're gonna like say fuck it and like walk away from it, but you have to be thinking about how you're gonna change that situation or make it better so that you are enjoying it. Because that is the one thing, like, if nothing to take away from this part, there's nothing that we do that we don't do our way. And by doing it your way, you're ensuring that you either like doing it or you have a bigger thing in mind that you're eventually gonna get to that keeps you going. From small things, like I'm not gonna have a coffee at a one, even if we have to make 2 stops. And listen, if Bree was with us and she wanted a Dunkin', we would have made a 3rd coffee stop.
Right.
Nothing's a hassle. Nothing is, you know, oh, but whatever. You know, from little things like this to big things, you know, like we talk about all him and he loves me, but we are both 2 different people and very well aware that I'm not in this relationship for him to do anything for me or for me to do anything for him, right? I'm good by myself, he's good by himself, and together that's even better. And if God forbid someday it's not, then it's not, you know, like that kind of perspective of like, you have to love your life and everything that you do and everyone that's in it, no matter what, is what I wish most people had.
If you're not good with you, right, then it's going to be very difficult to be good with anybody else. And that, you can apply that to work, family,
Yeah.
you know, I think, you know, whatever. I think most of the challenges that people have with other people sometimes comes back to you. Like, you know,
Yeah.
if you're not good with you, then you're going to struggle being good with anybody else in any situation. And we've been, you know, again, since we're talking about us, you know, we've been clear from day one, you know, as we are in this together for as long as we want to be in this together. And if at some point, you know, all it takes is one of us not to be, you know, happy with the situation, because you can't force the other person to stay, you know, so.
No, and you can't expect anything from anybody. And I feel like with relationships, not just like romantic relationships, like family, friends, coworkers, people are always expecting something. You're either expecting someone to act a certain way or to feel the way they do or act the way that you would want them to. You know, life just doesn't work like that.
Right.
And a lot of times, all of our heartbreak and sadness and disappointment and bitterness with life or with people is because we're expecting it to be a certain way instead of making it a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Someone doesn't work for you, move on. A job doesn't work for you, move on. You wake up every morning and you hate the place you're in, move on. Like, life is just too short.
Or at least start taking steps.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I said earlier. Maybe you can't do something like right this second, but start visualizing and planning out like how you're going to show up in that situation different, you know.
And I've always told her, you know, one of my favorite quotes from Arnold is that the gym teaches you everything.
Yes.
Because that's how fitness is. You know, you're not happy with the way you look, the way you feel, the way your clothes fits, you know, whatever it is, you have to take a step.
You're not gonna wake up tomorrow loving it.
You're not gonna wake up tomorrow loving it. You gotta either change what you're eating, change how you're training,
yep.
You've got to change something. You've got to do something. And the truth is that if you look at fitness, you look at the gym, it does teach you a lot of the things about all the other aspects of life, yes. Because it is a process, and it does require you putting in work, and it does require steps, and it does require you being patient. So just like she said, if you're not content in some area of your life, then maybe you don't have the ability to wake up tomorrow and change it,
right.
But you do have the ability to stop right now at this moment and say, you know what?
How can I make this bit different? How can I make this better?
Right, or what's my first step? Or, you know, where do I start looking for my first step?
Perspective is everything too. You know, if you hate something, okay, how am I going to change it? How am I going to make it doable?
Mm-hmm.
And somewhat of like, I can handle it while I'm still in the situation. Or don't complain about it. That's the other thing. I fucking hate when people complain about stuff but don't do anything to change it. It really bothers me because it's okay to complain about things, but unless you're doing something about it, you have no right. And people are like, well, it's not in my control. Everything is under your control. Unless you wake up tomorrow, God forbid, in a hospital bed, short of that, everything is in your control one way or another. Even if your control is something small or perspective or whatever it may be.
It's all steps.
It's all steps.
It is all steps. Again, you might not wake up looking and feeling the way you want, but guess what? You can wake up tomorrow and work out. Wake up tomorrow and choose to eat better. Maybe you choose one meal. Maybe you start drinking more water. Maybe you drink one more bottle of water and you're not drinking a gallon yet. It's a step, you know, it's a step. You're not happy in any other area of your life, you take a step.
Yeah.
And those are the things, we're not gonna go off on a tangent on that, but those are the things that are the foundation of our relationship. And they were, I think that we had a conversation at the very beginning. I think one of our first dates started with the whole coffee thing. There was one particular Starbucks in the Gables that had like a reverse French press.
Clover?
The Clover. The only one there were two. There was one in South Beach and one in the Gables. And that is the coffee that I wanted. I think where were we that day?
Yeah.
You know,
so long ago.
we were somewhere else. We went to lunch somewhere. And I said, hey, let's get some coffee. And I drove all the way to the Gables just to get that one. And she found it like, you know.
I'm like, we came all the way here.
We came all the way here for Starbucks. I said, no. But
and at the time, I barely drank coffee. So I'm like, to me, coffee is coffee.
Right. To me, I will go places.
Yes.
But my point was I didn't compromise who I was at that particular moment. You know, because, you know, I showed up to that point of the relationship, it was like the first date, you know, the way I am. And I said, listen, you know, I'm not going to compromise. I want coffee from here. And if it took 40 minutes to get here, then so be it. You know, and if I want to get a croqueta from this other place that is
40 minutes
then that's what I'm going to do. And there was a lot of clarity from day one in all of the things that we both wanted. Out of the relationship that we wanted to be in, so that there was no miscommunication, and that is, I guess, the biggest thing.
Yeah.
You know, the level of communication that we have, we don't have with anybody else. You know, the honesty and just the ability to say whatever, because we've been through a lot. You know,
yeah.
So there's really nothing to hide. You know, there's nothing that we have to pretend about, including you know what, this isn't for me. You know, it all the way from you know, as much as we're together and do everything together, we're business partners. It really just comes down to that. You know, are you able to say everything? And no matter what.
Like, I feel like a lot of times people don't say exactly what they want or how they want it because they're afraid of how it's going to be received. And that goes back to what we were saying earlier. If you're not doing something for somebody else, right? If you're doing it for you, it sounds selfish, but it's not. It's actually very selfless to show up as yourself that much, because then you're doing a disservice if you always have these filters and you're always beating around the bush and you're always concerned with how it's going to come out. Like, you can't have like your biggest partnership, which is the person you do life with, and have to be worried about filters and worried about, you know, what are they going to think and what are they going to feel. Like, that just can't happen. So I forgot where I was going with that.
Either way, and that's how we are, and that's how we are with our kids. And,
yes, very upfront.
And we apply all of that to everything that we do. So we talk to people that we coach the same way. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. That's how we coach people. We are upfront about everything. We are honest about everything.
Yes.
It's just the way that we are. You know, it's the Tony Robbins thing. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So we are like that about everything.
Yeah.
Maybe we sugarcoat sometimes, so people aren't ready for the love,
the realness,
the love that we're gonna give them. But
sugarcoat's a good word. It's not fake. It's just
not fake, but we are like that about everything. And that's what we wanted to do with this episode, just give you a little more insight to us, not too much. But now we can talk about fitness, and we'll make it really quick. We've got a couple projects coming up, starting this weekend, September 8th, Sunday, September 8th.
Yes.
She is going to be hosting
posing
posing clinic. Learn how to pose like a diva.
Yes.
And this clinic is open to everyone.
Everyone.
It doesn't matter if you're a competitor. It doesn't matter if you compete in a different federation. It doesn't matter if you've never competed. If you want to put on heels and come pose with all the other ladies, walk and do all that
Posing
stuff.
Posing sounds intimidating. We're just gonna walk.
We're just gonna walk with music.
With music and have fun.
And flicker the hair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, what's flicker? Flicker's not a word.
No, light flicker.
Oh, and the hair doesn't flicker.
What?
Flick, hair flick.
So Sunday, September 8th at noon. Mm-hmm. Noon at the gym.
Yes.
So that is one.
Mm-hmm.
We are also launching a 6 week detox to summer program.
Yeah.
That's going to be super cool. So basically, like, I know that the summer people fall off track, people fall off,
especially with this week of
their plan,
hurricane, not hurricane
season. Everybody's eating bread and Pringles. So we are doing a 6 week detox to summer program, and I'm going to send an email about that. What else do we have going on?
Gluten core workshop.
We have a new gluten core workshop, and I will be sending an email about that. If you're not on our email list, get on. It is going to be next level. Yes. We've definitely never done it this way.
But you have to be in South Florida for that one.
Yeah, you gotta kind of have to come in.
Yeah.
Because we're ordering a piece of equipment that kind of have to use. But that'll be unique to that.
Yes.
What else do we have going on?
I think that's it. Is there anything else?
Obviously, if you want to be a part of any of the competition stuff, you can reach out to her.
Yes. We already have the Orlando team building for next year.
June 2020. We have people that are already signed up.
A handful of people already.
To get ready for that competition.
That's a good long prep.
We have one more thing.
If anyone wants to come watch the WBFF Miami show,
November 9th. Mm-hmm. It'll be at the Eden Rock.
Yep, South Beach.
We have a team competing there.
What else?
I don't know. If there's something else, we'll share it.
Oh, our next episode, we are going to have an interview. So you're not going to have to just watch us.
Right, So what we want to do is, number one, we want to try to do it same day and time.
Yes.
So we're always going to do it live. It's going to be like this.
And then we'll put it on YouTube
we'll
whatever, if you can't watch it live.
And we're recording it, so you'll be able to listen on iTunes and SoundCloud. But we do want to interview and share, more stories,
Yes.
So look for a couple of guests coming.
Yes.
And if you have questions or if you have, anything that you want to chat about,
yes.
Send us a message,
Yeah, I'd love to get like a little questionnaire going and do kind of like a Q&A episode.
If you want to invite people onto this page, this will be the page that hosts our show and anything having to do with the things that we're talking about. And listen, the topics are going to be like they were before. We're going to talk about fitness, we're going to talk about dieting, talk about life.
Yes.
And it's a lot easier sometimes to connect to people when you hear their story. And that's why we want to have interviews.
And that's why we, like, not everyone's going to connect to me or to you, right? Even a lot of our before and afters, a lot of times people reach out to me to be a part of our team or to do nutrition coaching with us. And the person that they saw the transformation from wasn't me. Like, they saw someone else that had a similar body or a similar story or a similar age or whatever it is that made them connect. And they'll be like, oh my God, I saw so-and-so's transformation. It's so amazing. Like, I'd love to work with you guys, or I'd love to see, this or that, or hear about competing. And that's also why we want to bring in other people, because there's so many people out there with so many amazing stories, whether it's related to us or not, that we would love to kind of like give some sort of attention to, so that everyone has something awesome that they can connect to. So whether you're local or not, if you did want to be a part of our show and tell your story, we'd be happy to talk about it. Yeah,
for sure. And if you want to invite people onto this page, invite them, share it, do the whole share stuff.
Are you going to say that every time?
No, I'm not going to say it every time, but it's like, if you don't say it, people are like, oh, I'm supposed to do this, So yeah, do that stuff, Do the stuff. What else? What do we got?
I think that's it. We gotta work out.
That's all we got. We have to work out. It is Labor Day. It is raining.
What time is that?
It is
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock because we are live, and we're going to try to do this on Mondays at 3, so that we could have that set time.
If not, it'll be over the weekend.
Right.
If it's not Saturday or Sunday.
And maybe it's more than once a week.
Maybe.
God forbid, follow rules.
God forbid, make it alone.
And also, here's another thing. If you're watching this and you would like to be on, share your story.
He was not listening.
No, I was listening, but we have people that we wanted to talk to, and we want to talk to the people that are in the fitness community. We want to talk to our members. But if you say, listen, I want to share my story.
Yeah. Even if you're not local, we can
we will Zoom
video in.
We will Zoom it, video in, right? There's technology for that. And what else? What else we got? She finished her nitro.
I'm like, let's go work out.
I did that stuff, and that's all we got for today.
That's it, guys. Thank you so much for chiming in. Hi. We have quite a few people there. I didn't even see them. Thank you guys for joining in. And anyone who is listening and is going to chime in after, let us know what you think. Let us know what other questions you have that you'd like us to touch over.
Yeah. Peace out, people. Have a great day.
Bye. Hit the button. Am I too slow?